share with everyone a deck we're going to walk through. We're talking about marketing automation today. So a little bit about us. This is our wacky bunch. We are a digital agency that focuses specifically on the nonprofit sector. So we're pretty used to talking with folks like Dan over at Salsa and the types of organizations that these guys work with. We are based in San Francisco, but I'm actually out of the East Coast in the Boston office today. So thank you everyone for joining us and giving us a few minutes there in the middle of I'm sure a busy week. And let's dive right in. So what is marketing automation? This is something that I'm sure a lot of folks have either are doing and may not actually even know that they're doing it, or they've have heard a buzzword, they've heard it going about over the last couple months and wanted to learn a little bit more about it. So a little bit about, I guess, the practice of marketing automation. If you're doing it well, what it's doing is it's putting the user at the center of the model, right? It's allowing you to deliver content, to be able to deliver messaging that's really specific to an individual. And at nonprofit organizations or at advocacy organizations, this could mean donors, it could mean folks that are volunteering, it could mean folks that are getting involved in your programmatic fulfillment. So essentially, marketing automation is just a way to deliver messaging that is more specific to your audience. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys that are joining us today have multiple audiences. So it's not just one type of person. So being able to automate some of that essentially removes a little bit of the work and a little bit of the messaging burden that comes from having so many different digital properties and so many different constituencies that you need to worry about and manage. So here's a real simple way to explain marketing automation. And why you should do it, how it can help save some time, how it can help you communicate more effectively, how it can help you essentially deliver the right message to the right person at the right time. So here's a real simple visual, and it's actually probably how you guys wound up on this webinar in the first place. You went and you signed up, you clicked on a form, you were delivered an email message that confirmed your participation, and then a couple days later, maybe a week later, you got another email reminding you, right? Those are all things that are done through automation, so that you're not spending as a marketer, we're not spending our time sending out individual messages. We can set things up through technology to allow us to automate some of this process. Now there's definitely instances where automation could be done very bad. When we don't pay attention to who our audiences are and we send out more broad-based messaging that may not be relevant to everyone. So think about, if you're an advocacy organization and you're working on a specific piece of legislation. Let's take California electric vehicle bill from a couple of years back. If we've got an email list that has 100,000 people on it, but only 10,000 of those people live in California, we don't segment out that type of automation. This very simple pathway that you're seeing on your screen right now is probably going to be irrelevant for 90% of your list, and starts to create an atmosphere where they don't feel like those 90% of the list isn't receiving a message that's relevant to them, and they start to understand, they start to question exactly why they're on your email list. So automation can be good, but it can also be bad if it's not done properly. So a couple of those best practices for us to walk through, and guys, if there's any questions that come up, I want to because we're trying to be concise with our time and get you guys out of here with taking some learnings and some best practices away without taking out too much of the time. I've got our team here, our marketing team at Media Cause on Twitter, ready to answer any questions you guys may have. And we're at Media Cause, all one word. So feel free to ask questions. We'll get back to you actually in real time as fast as we can. So as questions come up, feel free to ping us. So let's dive into some best practices about how to set up marketing automation in a way that's going to be effective for your organization. So first, you got to go out and pick a platform, and Blake's going to jump on after I get done talking about some of the more practical aspects of marketing automation with a good platform, right? Salsa is a great platform to be able to understand how marketing automation works, but it's also a great platform to actually implement it and be able to set yourself up with in a concise and easy way to take some of the communication burden off of yourself. So there's things like CRMs, there's things like CMSs, there's a whole bunch of different tools out there that all have marketing automation built in, and a lot of them I'm sure you're probably already using and are on this webinar to try to figure out how to get more out of them. So once you started thinking about platforms and actually start using some of the platforms that you're probably already on, what are the right ways to go about taking advantage of marketing automation? So a couple first things. Set up an email welcome series for every single sign up that you have. So if you're using something like a platform like Salsa, you have that ability to set up a welcome series after someone signs up. Do it, right? This is the in a lot of ways, this is the first touch point an individual has with your organization, right? They've gone and they've taken that step to sign up for an email. That's valuable to us as marketers. We know that, particularly for fundraisers and folks involved in advocacy. So we want to make sure that we're nurturing that relationship. So set up an email welcome series, a really basic concept. Making sure that you have an automated thank you process for when someone actually does some type of action. So if they've taken an action on your website, on a form, you want to thank them. Any type of follow-up email after they've clicked a button. Maybe you have more of a programmatic fulfillment on your website where people can take certain actions. You want to be able to acknowledge that those actions are taken, but you can't send a personal email to every single individual. Also things like events, reminders, like this webinar. I'm sure you've gotten the email reminding you that the event was happening. So it's always about being able to affirm an action that a user has taken and being able to show them that you're paying attention, right? That you care, that you're acknowledging that they've taken a step to be a part of your community. So we talked about real briefly about what a welcome series or making sure that you have a welcome series. So what is it? What is a good welcome series? What we've seen through data, right, and this is a underlying theme of a lot of conversations we have about automation, is using data to be able to optimize your marketing automation. So, what is a good welcome series? It tells a story, right? It tells an individual more about your organization, not all at once, right? I think one of the issues that we come across quite a bit with some of our newer clients that haven't been working with us a long time is there's that feeling that you need to tell an individual everything all at once. That's kind of the beauty of the welcome series. It's literally a series, right? It's not just one email. Is that you have 2, 3, 4 emails to be able to tell a narrative about your organization. So you have the advantage of multiple emails, and then you have this advantage of being able to tell your organization's impact over that series. So again, not having to tell everything all at once, you can talk about one specific highlight of impact that your organization creates, and then you can highlight a different aspect the next email. But every single email should have a goal and a call to action, whether it's going and learning more, whether it is diving into a different piece of content. You should be asking the individuals that are on your welcome series to do something else, right? And they may not do it, and that's okay, but we want to be very direct about what we're asking an individual to do. And then hopefully, particularly if fundraising is a priority, by the end of that welcome series, that should be the final call to action. So if you're doing a 4 email welcome series to a new person on your list, by that 4th one, you've built a relationship. You have talked about your organization, why they should care. You've talked about the impact and why it matters. So by that last email, you're now giving them the value proposition of consider donating, $50, $100, whatever the ask is. because we basically have shown you why we matter as an organization, why we are effective at creating impact within our organization's mission. So that's the basic notion of a welcome series. Definitely encourage everyone, if you haven't put together a welcome series for your organization's newsletter, sign up, or for however your organization is currently framing email, go ahead and create a welcome series that has those basic tenets in mind of storytelling, of talking about impact, of having calls to action in every single one. So we talk a lot about segmentation in our work, and I think it's so important because lists are made up of people at the end of the day, right? That whether you have an email list of 1,000 or 1,000,000, those are actual people that are going to be receiving your messaging. So it's going to be really important to understand why those people signed up for your email in the first place and why they care, right? Ultimately, you're trying to get them to do some type of action, whether it's donating money or getting involved in helping your organization fulfill their mission, or it's volunteering or come to an event. There's something you're trying to get someone to do, so you need to understand who they actually are, so you can understand how to segment them out. So there's three basic ways in which we look at segmentation of email lists. It's interest-based, so why they may have checked this box on initial sign up. You may have this data point. I encourage folks to think about their sign up forms. Obviously, there's always that balance you're trying to create around gathering more information about an individual so that you know how to talk to them, and also creating more fields on a form generally will reduce the conversion of actually getting an email, right? So you got to find that balance about how much information you're going to be able to extract from someone the first time they sign up for your email. So you get interest-based, what they care about. Behavior-based, so this is a lot around how did that person come in? How did they come into your list? Were they someone who was referred to because of a Google grant ad that they saw? Was this someone who responded to a Facebook call to action? Is this someone who downloaded a certain type of material? We work with an organization called the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and one of our more successful ways in which we segment is around their interest in a particular type of birding activity. So if there's any birders out there, I'm sure this will resonate. But one of the popular conversion points for us is a PDF we have between determining the difference between a crow and a raven. And for the non-birders out there, that may seem ridiculous, but I think for the birders out there, there's a certain way that you go in and you can find this out. You look at the taxonomy, right? The size and the shape of the bird. You look at stuff like where they physically are in their migration pattern. All these different aspects of birding that come into play. But what that tells us from the download is that this person cares about identifying birds. So we start to deliver in our welcome series more information around different tricky bird IDs, right? So it's again going back to a behavior-based segmentation strategy. And the final one, this is probably the more traditional one, which is just demographic-based, whether that's age, gender, location, profession. I think these are all going to be specific to your organization, but it's ways to be thinking about segmentation, because essentially, not everyone is connected to your organization for the same reason. And that's really the important takeaway here, is that if you're sending one massive email blast out to everyone once a month, there's probably a lot of content in that email that isn't relevant to everyone on your list. So it's around understanding, how does my list break down? Is it interest-based? Is it based off of geographic and other demographic information, or is it more around the content that they came in through? So segmentation, really, really important part of automation. It allows you to be more effective with your automation. So the next step of really understanding really good segmentation is to start thinking about something that's a pretty important part of how we view marketing, which is persona-based marketing. This may seem familiar to some folks, which I hope it is, because it's something that has really been effective over the last few years as nonprofit organizations have really embraced content marketing. So basically what this is taking that original idea of segmentation and applying some real important assumptions around what kind of content someone's interested in, and literally going and building out these personas and creating your segmentations off of that. So I'll go back to the Cornell lab as a way to explain why personas are so important. What we found through their data was that geography really mattered. So our personas are based off of geography. We have our Pacific Northwest birder, we have our Florida birder, and those are very different types of people and how they perform with how they interact and engage with content. So when we're creating a fundraising campaign or we're creating a marketing campaign, we really do go back to those personas as our guide to how we create content and messaging for them. So this can be one of those paralysis by analysis issues. If you create too many levels of segmentation, you're actually probably going to nullify any benefit you're going to get from marketing automation. Because if you got to go out and create 20 different emails because you got 20 different segments, it may be counterproductive at that point. So be realistic. Be manageable around what your data is telling you. If you have the ability to create 3 different segments, awesome, go create 3 different segments. If it's something where you've got some more bandwidth, you've got a great copywriter on staff, it may be something where it affords you an opportunity to create more segmentation and more messaging. Another, I guess, best practice that I'm sure all of us have seen before, whether this is automation created through delivering messaging on email or through other technology, personalizing it makes it really relevant. So I'm sure that there's a lot of folks who write those emails, and there's the real simple thing to just insert a first name or insert a city or insert some type of qualifier that makes it relevant to that individual. Use those opportunities and then let your data decide, right? So there's 2 examples here around where we pulled in Sarah's first name and made it a little bit more urgent around being able to join us tomorrow, or a different subject line, which is just about getting involved, supporting the March for Our Lives event, right? So being able to use those little trigger points, and again, it comes down to if you have that data point, you're able to do that. You may not have Sarah's name, you may not know that she signed up for an event tomorrow, but the more data points that you have, the more that you're going to be able to segment. And then, kind of a final note about all this is that, it's never done. This is one of those things that you use data and you go and, you can do the A/B subject line test like we just showed you, and it may show you, maybe you're doing an ABC, you're doing a multivariate test, and it's, you're going and seeing that maybe it wasn't the first name that mattered, maybe it was, Sarah's in Boston, so maybe we put Boston in there, and that's what really was the thing that drove more people to open that email. So really rely on your data. Salsa has a lot of great data reporting capabilities for you to look at to be able to understand what's working and what's not within your marketing automation and within your segmentation. Don't come away from the idea that marketing automation is set it and forget it. Marketing automation allows you to create efficiencies, and those efficiencies, give you, obviously more time and allow you to scale up your organization's communication strategies better. But with that level of efficiency also comes a lot of data that you can use and rely on and create even more efficient messaging. So track everything and listen to the data. So how can your organizations leverage automation? So final thoughts, right? This is to loop it all up, and I think I've done this in 15 minutes, which is a new record for a webinar for us. So you need the right tools, right? Blake's going to jump on and talk about Salsa and their product, and how it's a great product for you if you want to start down this path of automation. If folks are already on Salsa, awesome. Blake is going to be going through a product demo to show you some ins and outs. So figure out, a good tool, set some goals for what you're trying to accomplish with it. I think this is one of those things that often gets forgotten when, you hear buzzwords like marketing automation. What are we trying to do with it? Why are we doing marketing automation? Are we trying to raise more funds? Is this a fundraising thing? Is this we want to get more people to our events? Well, go into that. Go into thinking about a marketing automation strategy with those goals in mind, because if not, essentially, you're going to be kind of chasing your tail around, so to speak, and chasing after buzzwords and the latest shiny objects, and it gets you really focused on how do you use these technologies to benefit your organization. Plan ahead. I think one of the struggles that we hear from our clients, particularly around marketing automation, is that it can involve a lot of content creation, because you are essentially creating more opportunities to segment, right? You're creating more opportunities to have to create content. Be realistic. Don't try to go after, creating a welcome series for every single landing page that you have, if it's not something that you're going to be able to do effectively. Because the worst thing to do is, set that kind of unrealistic strategy, and then not ever get to the welcome series for landing pages 5 through 20 because you were so consumed with doing 1 through 5 that you never got around to those, and then that would just be a missed opportunity. So I think thinking about what realistically you could do with your resources, and then being able to scale that up. And that scale comes from this point about measuring everything. See what works. Test a couple things out first. See if segmenting a welcome series into 2 different segments working well. Measure what is working well, and do more of that. That's a great thing about digital marketing, is that you get a ton of data, and you get this ability to turn on and off in real time. If something's not working, you can turn it off. And the final thing is, get help, right? Obviously this group has taken it upon themselves to join a webinar and go and learn from some folks that have some experience doing it. There's tons of resources out there. Definitely encourage you guys to follow our blog if you're not already at Media Cause. But there's a lot of great resources out there, and a lot of smart folks who are able to do this. And I would also encourage everyone to look outside the nonprofit world. I think one of the things that we're seeing in the nonprofit market specifically is that we're living in a bigger public sphere in which the likes of for-profit companies, Nike, American Express, all these companies, they do marketing automation. So there's this expectation in our inboxes, in our news feeds, on Facebook, and the platforms that we're working on. The expectation has been set that it's a more personalized experience, that it's quicker, it's faster, because the organizations that have big budgets are able to do this. So we, as nonprofits and as organizations working in social impact that have smaller budgets, we've got to be able to start doing the same thing if we want to compete in the bigger public sphere, in the attention economy, right? We don't have a special place in the inbox or a Facebook newsfeed just for our content, unfortunately. So we've got to use some of these tools and some of these strategies as well. So that is it. 20 minutes, I think I went. So feel free to reach out if there's any other questions you may have. The team will be on Twitter for the next half hour or so. But obviously, you can shoot us a message anytime. We'll get back to you. And then my email, you guys can see it there, Cody@mediacause.org. We've got offices all over the country. I'm here in Boston, so if anyone wants to grab a coffee, grab a beer, feel free to reach out, and we can talk marketing automation much more in depth. So thank you so much for joining us for this, kind of micro lunch and learn, coffee and learn, wherever you're connecting with us across the world. I'm going to shoot it back over to Dan and Blake on the salsa side.
Thanks so much.